Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
And welcome everyone to the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, as always, Jeff Malanoff, and with me is my partner in crime, Mark Souza. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, man. It's Monday morning. It's the start of a beautiful week. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. We got this previous week of the NFL to go over each game, and then we got some Monday Night Football preview to talk about between the San Francisco 49ers and the New York Football Giants. And then we're going to talk about some college football and also some things that have happened also in the middle of this week as signings, injuries, and so on and so forth. But we will start with Sunday Night Football between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Cowboys take the win over the Eagles 27-20, and the key focal point of this game for the win for the Dallas Cowboys is Ezekiel Elliott, of course.
Absolutely. He breaks out of his little slump that he had, I guess, rushing the football. Big game last night. I really thought that he carried the Cowboys.
Do you call him an elite running back?
Absolutely. Ezekiel Elliott, yeah.
I was just curious what you thought. But 151 rushing yards really speaks for itself. That leap over the safety was probably the highlight of the game. If he scored, that would have been the highlight of the year.
Oh, yeah, that vertical looked good.
That was at least 3-4 feet.
He was showing the NBA fans out there, like, hey, us guys in the NFL, we can get up.
He could probably dunk.
Oh, yeah.
But bottom line is, he tripped after he leaped and did not get the touchdown, which is very disappointing.
It's all right. He had 2 touchdowns in the game, so, at least he got
one
something.
Rushing, one passing. I think one of the main parts of this win for the Cowboys is Ezekiel Elliott was utilized a lot in the passing game on these check down passes for like 4 or 6 yards to help get these first downs. Like he had one 13-yard game, but bottom line is he was playing really well on the check down passes and starting to just get little by little yards because little by little, that's how you win the games.
Yeah, it was nice to see the Cowboys mix it up on offense. You saw last week against the Titans, they were so bland on offense. They weren't finding ways to be creative to get their best players the football in space. We saw last night, they really made it a focal point to get Amari Cooper the ball. We saw them make it a focal point to get Elliott the ball in various situations. And not just handing the ball up the middle. They got him outside, they tossed it to him. They had a very good game plan last night. You got to give the credit to Jason Garrett and that staff. He's taken some heat.
And the clapping. Don't forget Jason Garrett's clapping.
He's taken some heat over the last week about his job security and all that, but you have to say the Cowboys were very prepared last night.
Absolutely. They played extremely well against the defending Super Bowl champions. We know who didn't play well are the defending Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, 4-5. Not the start that you would have had expected. I don't think any of us did.
Did they lose any players? Like any key players besides like LeGarrette Blount?
Not really. They lost, Trey Burton, their backup tight end. Not really. In fact, you would think they got better because they got Carson Wentz back from injury.
And they got Michael Bennett.
And they got Bennett, you're right. You would think that, wow, this team is actually on the ascension, but this season has proven that to be false so far.
Do you think people are clamoring for Nick Foles to return to the lineup?
I really don't think so. I think Wentz has been playing well. I don't really think it's on him. That running game hasn't been there this year, and you know that they've been really good running the football lately or last year. So no running game with the Ajayi injury, that really hurts. They have a couple running backs that they like, but none of those running backs have really taken the job by the scruff of the neck.
Yes, absolutely. And honestly, I think the Redskins are going to take this division. I don't see anyone else catching them because I feel like they're very 6-3. They're pretty far ahead.
The Redskins are probably very happy with last night's result, too, as now they have some breathing room because the Cowboys won.
Yes. The closest is the Cowboys at 4-5.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia's also at 4-5, and a team not to worry about, the New York Giants, who are at 1-7.
Yeah.
So I think the Redskins are firmly in the driver's seat of the NFC East. Another game that was very important and very surprising was the blowout of the New England Patriots by the Tennessee Titans, 34-10.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that one play by Corey Davis was the highlight of the game for me, where he was there was a pass interference on him, but he still caught the ball while falling into the end zone.
Yeah, absolutely. The Titans, I think we talked about it last week, and I will be the one to say that I'm not a big believer in this team, but yesterday's result really makes me think differently about their season because, that's now an impressive win after they beat the Cowboys last week, and you have to think like, okay, maybe the Titans are a playoff team. If you would ask me a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I would have said no, I don't see it, but a healthy Mariota now, maybe that offense is going places that are positive and not negative, and that defense is pretty good.
Very good, very talented, and it really they haven't really been giving the respect they deserve because of how the season's been continuing.
We forget they're a playoff team from last year too.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
They won a playoff game too.
They beat the Chiefs, granted, but yes, they did. They did make the playoffs. You know who else made the playoffs was the Buffalo Bills.
Those pesky Buffalo Bills.
And speaking of the Buffalo Bills, they dominated against the New York Jets, who don't have a slouch of a defense, but they did get dominated 41-10.
Yeah,
by Buffalo.
That was very surprising.
And there was a key difference in this team compared to last week, the Bills that is, and that's a quarterback, Matt Barkley.
Yeah, Matt Barkley takes over for Nathan Peterman, Derek Anderson, Josh Allen, and wow, talk about a guy coming, off the streets, as they say.
I love that
in
it
the
took
NFL.
you longer than a second to name all the injured quarterbacks he's replaced.
Yeah.
You said just one name, but that was
one of them's not injured. Peterman, I think, is fine.
His soul is injured.
Yeah.
His soul. Well, because he got food thrown at him that would affect me too. That would tick me off a little bit. So
talk about a dud game that the Jets laid, though.
Yeah, pretty disappointing if you ask me.
You let Matt Barkley and that offense, who hasn't been able to score points, just destroy you. LaShawn McCoy looked like the old LaShawn McCoy last night. So, big game from him.
Yes, absolutely. He's been playing very well. It shows that he can still play even when he has a good offense around him. When he doesn't have anyone around him, he struggles, and that's obvious. But when he has something good around him, momentum around him, he can play football. Still, very well.
He's still an athlete. He's still a very solid athlete, tough for defenders to stop because of his agility, his quickness. We saw LaShawn McCoy get into space yesterday, and, credit to the Bills. They came in with a quarterback they just signed, and they really took it to the Jets. And if you're the Jets, if you're a Jets fan, it's hard to look. It's hard to go to practice this week. You have to be upset this week. You have to take this and put it in a positive way and move forward. But man, I cannot believe that they lost like that at home against the Buffalo Bills by 31 points. This game was blowout early. What do you say, Jeff? If you're a Jets fan, like, what are you feeling today?
Pretty disgruntled.
Are you calling for the coach?
I don't. That's to be determined.
They are on a bye week, so that's usually the week where teams.
If he's gonna get fired, it's gonna be this week. Can I just show you something real quick? I just found that's very hilarious.
Yes.
Nathan Peterman's Wikipedia. Since we were just talking about him.
Oh God.
Somebody
had fun editing on Wikipedia, or what?
Yes. Nathan Interception Peterman, that's his middle name, is a former American football quarterback for the Buffalo Bills of the National Football League. He is widely considered the best quarterback to ever play the game of football. He played college at Tennessee before being drafted by the Bills. But he is widely considered as the best quarterback to ever play the game, and his middle name is Interception.
Mm-hmm.
That's I love
Somebody's having
I
fun.
love Wikipedia sometimes.
Yeah. So, Barkley. I think Matt Barkley kind of showed how bad Nathan Peterman is, just because I'll play football again after sitting, on the sidelines, aka not playing in the NFL for the last couple of years. So he comes in, he tears it up. And Peterman hasn't been able to do anything close to resembling what Barkley did yesterday. So maybe the Bills stick with Barkley until Allen is healthy.
That's a duh.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. He has to.
What about Derek Anderson? He might be back too.
Just no. Stop it.
Who knows? All right.
Stop it.
Let's move on to a different game.
Stop it. Okay. We'll move on to, you know what? Let's move on to the Rams game. They almost they had their work cut out for them as they had a narrow victory over the Seattle Seahawks 36-31.
Mm-hmm.
They bounced back from their loss to the New Orleans Saints last week, and they almost lost this one, but they managed to take the win. Todd Gurley, 120 yards rushing with 1 touchdown. But bottom line is, this team wins. This team bounced back. This team is looking just as good as it ever has.
Yeah, 2 things that are interesting, though, that make you wonder. One is this Rams defense.
Big question mark.
Is Aqib Talib, when he comes back, will he shore up their deficiencies? Because it looks like they have a lot of holes right now.
It's weird to call it from, they were at one point the best team in football, in my opinion. But now, they look as good as they can be against the Seahawks. But, again, they shouldn't be allowing 31 points against a Seahawks team that's kind of iffy at best. And did you see at the end of the game, Aaron Donald put on his helmet while his pads were off and everything and went up to a lineman for the Seahawks and tried to fight him?
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
it was probably after that. He's probably still mad over that cheap shot earlier in the game.
That's what it was. That's exactly what it was. But he put on his helmet, and he doesn't have any pads on, so it looks really out of place. And instead of shaking it, he went to shake everyone's hand, but he went straight forward the guy that gave him the cheap shot and it got into his face. But I thought that was a funny point to name out. But bottom line is, Rams. Would you worry about them if you're?
I would. You know why?
Ooh.
Because it seems like they're losing a little bit of steam week to week. They're still putting up points, but the games are becoming more competitive. It seems like they did lose to the Saints. But a big concern, and my second point that I was getting to, is Cooper Kupp is now out for the season with a torn ACL. Cooper Kupp is a very integral part of that offense. He is a receiver that gets most of their red zone targets. They will be without Cooper Kupp for the rest of the season. So now it puts more pressure on Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods, and Todd Gurley, and we know those 3 players are more than capable. However, the Rams like to run 3 wide receiver sets. So now a guy like Josh Reynolds or maybe another guy on their team will have to step up, because they run in 3 receiver sets about 90% of the time in that offense. So
yeah. Again, this team, I feel like just has some question marks that shouldn't have question marks on a team that's 8-1.
Yeah,
and
it's kind of funny that we're talking about the negatives when they've lost 1 game. So
yeah, but that 1 game really put a damper on things. No.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a big game, and I think each week the Rams are giving up points. They're giving up a lot of points, and it seems like other teams, like the Saints, like the Chiefs, for example, it seems like those teams, their defenses are playing better while this Rams defense is getting worse by the week. So it definitely raises some concern.
Yes, absolutely. Do you want to move on to another game?
Sure.
Let's move on to the Saints, the team that beat the Rams. They handily, without really much problem, defeated the Cincinnati Bengals 51-14.
Very impressive win on the road.
Yes. Sadly, there was no cell phone touchdown celebration this week for Michael Thomas.
No, but there was a 35-7 halftime lead, which is really nice.
Michael Thomas did also have 2 touchdowns, as well as Melvin Ingram had a game, 104 rushing yards and 1 receiving touchdown. Alvin Kamara had 2 rushing touchdowns himself, excuse me.
That team is humming right now, and their defense
let me ask
better.
you this. Are they the best team in football, the Saints?
I think they are. I know last week they were in my top 3 for power rankings. I am a little biased because I did pick them to win the Super Bowl this year. They're getting better each week. They lost in week 1, so they are now they are now on a 8-game winning streak, and it seems like their biggest issue was their defense. But all of a sudden, their defense is playing a little bit better week to week. So, hey, this team is still moving forward, and they had a trap game, in my opinion. I feel like this was a perfect time for them to fall into a trap coming off a big win against the Rams, and they didn't. It went the opposite. They actually stepped on the gas harder this week, so that's a big win. That's impressive.
Yes, absolutely. And this team, like you said, you predicted them at the beginning of the season to go to the Super Bowl, and I was, to be honest, I was a little iffy about that, but now I am on the boat. I am on the Saints boat of them making the Super Bowl.
And it was a big day for Drew Brees in his conversation for MVP. I think he might have taken the lead yesterday. What do you think about that?
Yeah, he should have had the lead a long time ago.
Well, it was him, Mahomes, and Gurley, and I think he had the best day of those three yesterday. So maybe he takes a slight edge in that department today.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, if he doesn't win it now, that's a travesty.
Yeah, so what do you say we go to a quick break, and when we return, we'll talk about football as we continue to recap the games, and, of course, that Monday Night Football preview.
Sure.
Okay,
Right
cool.
back.
So before we go to a break, I want to talk to you about the holidays, Jeff, as we're approaching. What is your favorite part of the holiday season?
Well, it's the gifts, man.
The gifts, okay. What type of gifts do you like? What kind of gifts do you like getting from the family?
Well, honestly, any gifts work for me, mainly like video games. But honestly, I'm always up to anything.
Yeah, well, like for guys, like our fathers, brothers, cousins, things like that. It's a little tough to shop for those guys sometimes, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Those are the hardest.
Yeah, for me, my dad's the hardest person to shop for. I'm constantly asking my mom, hey, what does dad want this year? What is that? He already has everything, but you know what? I think I found the perfect gift for him this year.
Where'd you find them?
Yeah. So, with guys, we have to shave all the time. Whether we have beards or we're clean shaven, we're always consistently having to worry about our facial hair, having to clean it up. Well, with Harry's, I actually think I found the perfect gift this year, and it's practical. Who doesn't like a practical gift that is at a friendly price?
I like it.
Yeah, exactly. So what makes Harry's a perfect gift this holiday season? Well, I'll let you know. A long-lasting, quality products at a super reasonable price. A gift that the men in your lives will actually use. 100% quality guarantee. If this gift doesn't work out for you or for your loved ones, return for a quick and hassle-free process. As a special offer for fans of the GSMC Football Podcast, we've partnered with Harry's to give you $5 off of any shave set, including our limited edition holiday sets. When you go to harrys.com/GSMC Football, plus you'll get free shipping. This offers for new and returning customers and is only available for the holidays. Each Harry's shaving set comes with an ergonomic weighted handle with an option to engrave. German-engineered five-blade cartridges that provide a close, comfortable shave. Foaming shave gel for a rich lather. A travel cover to protect your blades. And it comes in a handsome holiday gift box. Want to try something for yourself? Redeem a Harry's trial offer to experience the quality of shave before committing. Get your holiday shopping done early this year. Free shipping ends on December 12th, so act now. Go to harrys.com/GSMC Football to get a $5 off shave set while supplies last. Again, that's harrys.com/GSMC Football.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's GSMCpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. We just finished talking about some of the games in the NFL this week. We're going to continue on with this role. We're going to talk about, we talked about the Saints division leader, Rams division leader. Patriots are division leader. Let's go to the NFC East division leader, the Washington Redskins, as they defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by a score of 16-3.
Yeah. The Redskins, they lose to the Falcons last week, and then they have an impressive win. It wasn't the prettiest win yesterday, but
a win's a win.
Their defense showed up when they needed to. They gave up a lot of yards, but they didn't give up many points. 3 points, given up, you'll win every single time. So a good result for the Redskins. They now have a 2-game lead in the NFC East.
Which is huge. But one of the things that surprised me the most is the winning team, Alex Smith, had 178 yards passing, compared to the Buccaneers, who had Ryan Fitzpatrick 406 yards passing. No touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
Another crazy stat is the Buccaneers punted once yesterday, and they scored 3 points.
That doesn't make any sense. I'm so
Nothing
confused.
makes sense.
How many turnovers?
You look at the box score, and how did this team win?
4 turnovers by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That's where it is, right?
That's where it begins and where it should end. But 400 yards passing for Ryan Fitzpatrick, and you couldn't score 1 touchdown?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's got to be the most yards for a player that has no touchdowns, right? That's got to be the most,
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible. If you told me that
never hear about that.
Let's put it this way. I don't know if that's true, but if you told me that was true, I wouldn't even argue with you. I'd be like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, it has to be up there.
Yeah, that's really the takeaway from this game, right? Like, the Buccaneers fell on their own faces too many times.
There were 2 different players that exceeded 100 receiving yards. Rodgers and Godwin. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite ridiculous.
How do you not score a touchdown with that? 4 turnovers, that's why. But I know the answer, but how?
They turned the ball over too many times in the red zone. They just turned the ball over in the most inopportune times.
Ryan Fitzpatrick was also throwing, those interceptions he threw were also in to double coverage.
And then he had the bad fumble. So what do you do now for the Bucs? You turn back to Jameis?
God, no. The guy throws 400 yards passing. You're keeping him, but just get in the end zone.
Well,
please.
Jameis was throwing the ball, had a lot of yards, but he was turning the ball over. That's the problem, right?
10 interceptions.
The only person that had more turnovers this year than Fitzpatrick was Jameis, and now I think it's Fitzpatrick again because he's played more games. So
I would still pick Fitzpatrick over Jameis.
Yeah, me too. All right, so Redskins win. That's a takeaway. What's the next game you want to talk about?
Let's go Jags and Colts.
Okay, that was a very, very important game.
Colts win it 29-26. Jacksonville goes from going to the AFC title game against the New England Patriots to now back where they are in the AFC South gutters.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an interesting play I wanted to make note of. Moncrief, the former Colt, scored a touchdown for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He outran 3 or 4 guys that were 6 years younger than him. And I thought that was a big highlight for him because he wanted to prove that he could still play. And he can. He showed he has some still juice left in him. But bottom line is Jacksonville loses again. I don't think they're making the playoffs again. And they're back to where they have been the last, I'd say, 6-7 years.
Yeah, for us, I think we talked about it. It was basically an elimination game yesterday. The Colts have been playing well. They've been getting better. And the Jaguars continue to trend in the wrong direction. They're 3-6. I'm saying they have no chance to make the playoffs. They'd literally have to win every game except for maybe one to have a chance at the wild card. And that I don't think that even at 9-7 would happen. But still, I don't see them losing out just one more game. They still have to play a couple teams in their division.
No, 4. No, 5. No, 6.
They still got to play the Titans, the Texans. I mean, those are tough teams. That division is actually pretty tough.
I see the Texans taking the division. What about you?
Yeah, but after the statement Tennessee's made the last 2 games, they're making me wonder.
I still have the Houston Texans because
Me too.
They've been playing incredibly well.
So have the Titans, though. Don't forget. It's a tight race. I think it'll come down to maybe the last week or so. That's a division when we look at it. That's a division where you could see the coming down to the last week.
I just think personally that the Texans are a better team than the Titans. So when it comes down to it,
it's easier to trust the Texans because Deshaun Watson, I think, is more consistent than Mariota, right? Like, it's easier to trust Houston.
Yeah, definitely. But I think the main thing is their defense is just better, and that old saying, defense wins championships.
You know, though, there is something to be said about Tennessee and their running game. If their running game is working, that's where the Texans really struggle, is running the football. So, you know.
They have no running back. I mean, Lamar Miller's not the keen running back, so I guess it'll be Leonard Fournette and Carlos Hyde versus Lamar Miller.
And we don't know how good that offense. I don't know if you agree with me on this, but I think even though they added Demaryius Thomas, I think that them losing Will Fuller is actually going to hurt that team rather than help. So
I think Demaryius Thomas will at least.
Fuller was their
help close
dynamite
the
player,
wounds.
though, that really took defenses away from Hopkins. They could always throw the ball long.
Well,
to
I
Fuller.
think Thomas is just a name that people are going to cover him now, just because he's had great success in the past.
Yeah. The limitation for Thomas puts a damper on that offense because Deshaun, he can really throw the football down the field. So we'll see how they adjust. But, yeah, right now I got the Texans with the slight edge.
Yeah, I do too.
All right.
The next game we should talk about is not really a game that we should
Talk about?
Yeah, but the Chargers and the Raiders. Chargers beat the Raiders 20-6, surprising no one.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Carr doing Derek Carr things. 243 yards passing, but no touchdowns or interceptions. So just
There's nothing that, if you watch this game yesterday, there's nothing that you saw that gives you reason to be happy or excited as a Raiders fan because, again, it looked like a poorly coached team, an unmotivated team. And to sum up the whole season, we saw Derek Carr throw the ball into the turf on a 4th down and play at the end of the game as they're trying to mount a comeback. Instead of just throwing the ball up or giving one of his teammates a chance to make a play, throw an interception there. Just don't throw it into the ground and spike the ball to end the game. But he did that. That's the epitome of their season.
yeah, that's the Raiders in a nutshell, right there. Just throwing it in the dirt, no regard for anyone else.
Giving up on the season, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bummer basically for Raider fans because they're going to Vegas soon. This is one of their last seasons in
They're gutting
Oakland,
the team, it seems like.
and there's no hope for another Super Bowl in Oakland.
Chargers quietly have 2 losses, though. You know, they're right there. They're right behind the Chiefs.
Yes, they are right behind the Chiefs. One loss behind the Chiefs, excuse me. But I still see the Chiefs taking the AFC West, but I do see the Chargers taking a wild card spot.
Big time, yeah. So the Chargers host the Broncos next week, and the Chiefs are playing the Rams, Jeff. The Chargers could be in first place in the AFC West next week. The Chiefs are going to Mexico City to play.
Have you seen the
those
field
Rams.
condition for that?
I haven't.
There's a picture of the field condition in Mexico City, and it's
It's Estadio Azteca, so they play there all the time.
it's pretty bad.
Yeah. But it won't be as bad as after the football team plays there because football, they destroy those grass fields. They really do, week to week.
Yeah. I'll try to find you. That's one of the pictures, and it's just I'm showing him a picture of one of the pitches on the soccer field in the Aztec Stadium, and take a look at this, Mark. It looks like there's dead grass everywhere, basically. Mm-hmm. It's muddy.
It's the biggest stadium
gross.
in Mexico. It's where they play a lot of games. A couple of club teams play there. The Mexican national team plays there. So
what are the risks of playing on this field?
I mean, honestly, there's some pretty bad surfaces in the NFL.
I don't think that bad. This is bad.
Yeah, even the Coliseum is pretty bad though, where the Rams normally play.
The
really... Chiefs actually. It's funny. The Chiefs and the Rams may have 2 of the worst fields from week to week in the NFL.
Yeah, but those are one. That's because they clean those up as best they can, and sometimes they actually they're actually cleaned up pretty well. This doesn't look like it's cleaned or fixed up at all. This looks like lazy work almost.
Yeah, but they didn't care. They don't care about that when they play in England. So I don't think they'll care about it playing in Mexico.
All right. Well, I hope for the best. I hope no one gets injured because of the field, because it looks like a lot of divots in those holes as well.
And what other games do we have to go through for this week?
We have the Browns and Falcons.
Browns and Falcons.
The Browns won a football game.
They did.
You know, the moment when the Browns win a game by more than 10 points and the Patriots get blown out, I think it's a sign of the apocalypse.
I'm going to toot my own horn here because I called this upset, baby. I called it. The Browns win.
I'm still worried about the apocalypse over here.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not.
Okay. Anyways,
Can't do anything about it.
Nick Chubb had the game of his life.
He had a great game. 92-yard run.
176 yards total. Yes. Minusing that 92-yard run, he doesn't have that much.
He still had a good game,
but still, granted, yes, that 92-yard touchdown
and a catch for a touchdown.
Yes. Really shows like both Nick Chubb and Sonny Michel out of Georgia, both are playing extremely well for their teams, respectively. Mm-hmm. Shows just how good that offense was in Georgia.
Absolutely, that dynamic pair of Michel and Chubb, they were dynamic. They were a nice 1-2 punch, and easy to see why Georgia was so successful when they were there.
Still can't believe they lost in the national championship game. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you can do that. How? Whatever. Anyways,
big loss for the Falcons though. They needed that one.
Yeah.
Now they're at 4-5.
This might take them out of the playoffs.
It's a big loss. That's for sure. But the Falcons, even though they were impressive against the Redskins the week before, they're a different team when they're on grass, when they're on outdoors and on the road. They're not the same dynamic offense. We saw it yesterday. We saw their offense struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. The offense usually doesn't struggle because that team usually has a lot of good talent on that roster, on that offensive side.
Right.
And going on about it, man, they really are struggling with so much talent that you should not be struggling with that good of a team.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing. I don't know what it is, but they just become a different team when they play outside. So, any other games that we have left from the week? We already talked about the Rams Seahawks. Dolphins Packers we didn't talk about. I know that.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Go on.
Dolphins Packers. So Packers are at home. Obviously a game they needed to win. They win 31-12, improved to 4-4-1. Aaron Jones was really a revelation for the Packers yesterday. I thought he was a key difference maker. 15 carries, 145 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So a big breakout game. Rodgers, he was pretty, pedestrian, you could say. 19 of 28, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He protected the football. I think that really sums up the game. The Packers controlled the offense, controlled the game with their running attack. They made key plays, and the Dolphins didn't have enough. Brock Osweiler, he's just not good enough to beat an Aaron Rodgers team on the road.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, he has struggled in the past, but right now he's just been on a tear. And yes, his other teammates have not been playing very well, mostly on the defensive side. But bottom line is he's playing well.
It's very interesting to me that Kenyon Drake is like a forgotten man with the Dolphins. Like Frank Gore, I get it. He's been a storied NFL player, but he's definitely at the end of his career. He continues to just get the bulk of the carries for the Dolphins. They hardly use Drake anymore. It's weird to me. Is that weird to you?
A little bit, a little weird, a little It's not unusual. No, it's unusual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Any other games we missed any?
I think we've covered them all. We talked about what about the Lions-Bears? I don't think we talked about the Lions-Bears.
Oh, Bears won 34-22.
Yeah.
Shows the Trubinsky 355 yards, 3 touchdowns. It really shows how good the Bears are because on offense, not just defense, but on offense, because Robinson and Miller both had 122 and 133 yards receiving respectively. And that defense mixed with this offense that's clicking, this is a dark horse for a serious contender.
And they're a team that's in first place for their division.
And I think they're going to take the North. You say the Vikings, I say the Bears.
Big matchup coming this week against the Vikings for the Bears. But in this game, I think we saw this coming. The Bears are playing good. The Lions seem like they're kind of throwing in the towel for the season. They got rid of Golden Tate, who was arguably their best player on offense, and he's gone now. So, we'll see what happens. with these teams moving forward, but the Bears are certainly trending in the right direction.
And we're going to take a short break, but when we get back, we'll be talking about other college football and Monday Night Football. But first, I want to talk about Harry's. The holiday season is coming up, and it's tough to find that right gift for the men in your life, your dad, your brothers, or anyone else that you care about that's a man in your family. And what people really don't realize is everyone shaves in the morning or right before they go to bed. For me, I do it before I go to bed, so I have a nice smooth, so I can put my face on the pillow. And it's a great feeling. But for Harry's, make it the perfect gift for your loved one. Harry's makes a long-lasting quality products at a reasonable price. German engineered blades for as low as $2 each. It's a practical gift that he will actually use and save him money on blade refills. Since you're watching the show GMC Football Podcast, there's a special offer for you fans of the show. We partner with Harry's to give you $5 off any shave set, including our limited edition holiday sets. When you go to harrys.com/GSMC football, plus you'll get free shipping. This offer is for new and returning customers and is only available for the holidays, so hurry up. Each Harry's shaving set comes with ergonomic weighted handle with an option to engrave, which is really cool, a German engineered 5-blade cartridge that provides close, comfortable shave, foaming shave gel for a rich lather, a travel cover to protect your blades, and all in a handsome holiday gift box, so it's perfect to give to your loved one. Or you just want to try it for yourself? Redeem a Harry's trial offer to experience the quality of shave before even committing. Get all of your holiday shopping done early. Free shipping ends December 12th, so act now. Go to harrys.com/GSMC football to get $5 off a shave set while supplies last. That's harrys.com/GSMC football. Get it while it's hot.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. We just finished talking about every game this Sunday that happened in the week of the NFL. Now we're going on to tonight. Monday Night Football. The San Francisco 49ers, the New York Giants, the two best teams in football that have 2-3 wins all together. My Lord, we talked about this with the Raiders and Niners on their primetime matchup on Thursday last week. Now the Niners get another primetime matchup against another one-win team in the Giants. I don't know how they got two primetime games in a row against these two bad teams.
Combine the two teams, you get the San Francisco Giants, who've won a few championships in the last decade, but neither of these NFL teams have won championships in the last, 4 years, 3 years? When was the last time Eli won? It's been
2011.
You know what? It seems like it's been forever. Am I right?
Yeah, 2011 seemed very forgettable for that Super Bowl. 49ers haven't won one since 1994-95 season of Super Bowl 29 against San Diego Chargers.
Yes.
When they were the San Diego Chargers. So we're moving on to this game. Nick Mullins is starting once again after his primetime performance against the Raiders. It's a smart move to start him again, give him that experience, give him that, since he's going on confidence, why not give him the ball again?
Yeah, I mean, he had a great start, a great first game of his professional career. Do I expect that to happen again? Probably not, but hey, how do you turn back now? Beathard was struggling as a quarterback for the 49ers. He had not won, so now they give Mullins a shot. He kills it against the Raiders. Granted, it was the Raiders. It wasn't like he beat one of the better teams in the league, but hey, it was his first start, and he did well, so it only makes sense.
Give him some love.
Who's the better quarterback tonight, Mullins or Eli?
Wow, that's actually kind of tough.
Yeah, right? That's kind of sad to say if you're an Eli fan.
Yeah, but Eli's at the end of his career. Nick Mullins is kind of on a hot streak at the moment. You can't deny that.
A one-game hot streak.
Yeah. Well, I mean, come on. Give him something. This is his first ever start. Give him some love. And when it comes down to it, the Giants are a bad team. The Niners are just a team just on injured reserve, but still bad.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see happening in this game, Mark?
Yeah. It's a game between two, like you said, two teams that are struggling for different reasons, but the 49ers are at home. I kind of see them maybe having an easier time. They're obviously coming off that win. They're all hyped up. We saw videos of them celebrating in the locker room. Nick Mullins, awesome post-game interview.
They don't
on
get
NFL
much to
Network.
Celebrate for, so give them the celebration, especially for the young guy. I think it showed a lot of unselfishness, how much like they were happy for him.
I see the 49ers team, even though they're without some incredibly key members of their team, they still play hard, and it seems like they're game planned well. So I don't know. The Giants have some players that can make some noise. Obviously, Odell Beckham Jr., Saquon Barkley. I mean, those guys can always take one to the house at any given moment. But I just see the 49ers pass rush being able to get to Eli enough times to win this game.
Yeah. Bottom line is, I think this shows how good Kyle Shanahan is at offensive game planning, because he's just making everyone he plays with look like $1 million, especially Nick Mullins. And so I see this as I'm giving the Niners to win on this one because they're on momentum. They feel like they have a better overall team. Not just team, but just they're clicking, and who's not clicking is the Giants. They're not clicking at all.
Yeah, that offensive line is just brutal. Eli has his problems too. He's not very mobile. He never really was, but he's even less now than before. The offensive line doesn't really hold their own. The 49ers that aren't a great pass rush, but being at home, I think they get to Eli enough times. And yeah, I think that they will allow some big plays. Do you think this will be a high-scoring game? What do you think?
High scoring is a strong word. I would go with average, not low, not high, average.
All right.
Does that make sense?
So you're taking the Niners, and what's your score prediction?
Give me 28-24.
28-24, that's pretty high. 52 points.
Well, combined, but it's just 4 touchdowns and 3 and a field goal. So it's high scoring for me is 35 or above.
Wait, how many?
For one team needs to have 35 or more.
One team. Okay. Yeah, 52. I mean, that'd be relatively high, when you look at the teams involved. But, yeah, it would be low if you're the Saints or the Rams or something like that. But, yeah, I think the Niners win, maybe 23-20. I don't think it'll be a pretty game at all, but probably more competitive than, that Thursday night football game between the Raiders and the Niners. Definitely think it should be more competitive than that, but we'll see. It'll be nice to see
maybe
Odell
maybe
against
it won't
Richard.
be 34-3.
Odell Beckham Jr. versus Richard Sherman.
The matchup of the century.
We'll see who prevails.
But I think it's more on the lines of one might not. I guess they both are starting. This is true.
Mm-hmm.
But will they be on the same side? That's the question.
They'll move Odell around, and Sherman likes to stay on one side, so we won't see it every play for sure.
Mm-hmm. But I do see a lot of potential in both these teams looking 4 or 5 years from now.
Yeah, we'll see. The Giants obviously need to find their future quarterback because I don't believe that person is on the roster, where as the 49ers, I do believe that Jimmy Garoppolo is their future at that position. I think he has a good future in this league. But the Giants, I mean, they got, a quarterback from Richmond who just got arrested, and we don't know if he could play football yet in the NFL. Eli Manning's obviously on his way out, so big question marks for the Giants. You have to expect that with that top pick that they'll have this year, top 5, it's looking like that they'll absolutely have to address that quarterback position.
Yes, and there is that controversy of they should have got drafted a quarterback this year instead of Barkley. Barkley's a fantastic player, no question about it, but maybe they were looking right now, they're thinking about winning right now, which they can't instead of winning in the future. Mm-hmm. But overall, I would say that you need, if they're going to get the first pick in the draft or the second pick in the draft, they need to get that man out of Oregon.
Yeah, it
Herbert.
seems like Justin Herbert is the consensus number one quarterback in this year's class, but, I'm not sure where he would actually stack up if he was in the same draft class as Darnold and Rosen and Baker Mayfield. Do you think that he would be – where do you think he would land if he was in last year's quarterback class? Do you think that he'd be one of the top 2 or 3?
I don't think so. I'm thinking maybe early second round. But he's probably the best quarterback in this draft, so he's probably going to go the first quarterback drafted.
Right. And
this is would you agree with this is a pretty weak draft class?
For quarterbacks, yeah, especially because last year there was a lot of hype between the 4 or 5, the 5 first round quarterbacks. So yeah, I don't know how good Justin Herbert is in terms of where he would fit in against guys like Darnold, Rosen, Baker Mayfield, but it sounds like he so far is the consensus quarterback.
Yeah, we could talk more about them later, but our predictions for the Monday Night Football game is the 49ers winning on both sides. But we are going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about the college football world and see how those line up, and we'll be right back right after this.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
And welcome back to the final segment of the GSMC Football Podcast. We just previewed Monday Night Football. Now we are going on to the college football world. And the more things change, the more they stay the same as Alabama shuts out another team. 2 shutouts in a row.
Yeah, that's pretty dominant.
I did not expect that. And they're both ranked teams.
Yeah.
One number 3 at the time, and one was number 16.
Again, they show that a quality opponent, it doesn't matter because they just roll over them. I mean, that's what the number 16 seed and the number 3 seed in back-to-back weeks where they shut out. I mean, can anyone score on these guys at this point?
I guess we'll find out when it hits the college football playoff, no?
Yeah, we will find out because you can guarantee that Alabama will be there no matter what. So
that team unless they lose the next
they'd have to
game.
lose twice, and they're not. Let's just end it right there.
So they'll have to lose 2 straight, which they haven't done in how long?
It's been a couple years.
Yeah, so I don't remember the last time they actually lost a game twice in a row. Probably not in the last decade, it feels like.
The other teams in the top 4 all held their own, though, too.
Yes, I believe they all won, if I'm not mistaken.
Clemson 27-7 against number 17 ranked Boston College. So, I mean,
people thought Boston College was going to give them more of an effort.
Yeah, and Clemson, I mean, they're doing what they need to do. If it wasn't for Alabama, they'd be the most talked about team so far. Yeah. So,
and Notre Dame handles Florida State very well.
That was actually impressive because they had a backup quarterback and they still dominated.
I think that shows also how bad Florida State is. Just saying.
Michigan too, 42-7.
They were facing a 1-win Rutgers, so that should have. They scored 7 points is too much, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And Oklahoma almost got upset by Oklahoma State. they went for the 2-point conversion. They failed. Oklahoma wins it.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a fun game. Oklahoma fortunate enough to stick around, still giving themselves a chance to be in consideration for the college football playoff. Do you think that if they win the rest of their games that they will be in, or do you think that they will still be on the outside looking in?
I think they'll still be on the outside looking in.
Unless, like, 2 of the teams slip, right? At least 2 of the teams slip in the top 4?
Yeah, roughly.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're looking at upsets this week that happened, in the top 25, that is, we have 2 top 25 teams that have lost. Fresno State, number 23, lost to Boise State, and Wake Forest defeated numbers 14, North Carolina State. Mm-hmm. So, not much happened.
Yeah, not a whole lot of drama this week in college football, especially because none of the top dogs fell. All the big teams won. Even Ohio State playing Michigan State, they win. Iowa was also a team that lost to a non-ranked team, but, they were ranked 21. It wasn't a huge upset or anything like that. So, college football, everything has stayed the same. Everything has stayed the same for another week. So, any other comments you want to make on college before we had some NFL news?
Just as next week's games look pretty interesting, I just want to. We got Notre Dame facing Syracuse, which is 2 ranked teams going to be going head-to-head there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably going to be their biggest challenge going into the college football playoff for Notre Dame. Alabama's going to be fine. They're playing Citadel.
Oh, wow.
And those are the 2 games that...
How do you schedule Citadel at this point in the season? That's unfortunate.
Michigan is also playing Indiana.
Conference game, okay.
Yes, and the number 2 team, Clemson, I believe they're on a bye week next week.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, those are the top 4 teams that are playing. If Citadel beats Alabama, I'm saying it right now. If Citadel beats Alabama, I will do something drastic. What should I do?
You'll join a Zumba class for a month.
How about just yoga?
Nope. Yoga's, fine, but, Zumba is hard.
I don't want to do Zumba.
Hey, you said drastic.
I'll find my friend. I know one of my friends is a yoga instructor. I'll find her and say, hey, you got to teach me the most lumbar, most painful yoga moves. And I have to do
yoga is... That's not you.
No, what about the yoga?
I do yoga.
What about the yoga? You do? What about the yoga thing that goes you step in 108 degrees?
Yeah, it's called Bikram.
Bikram. I'll do Bikram.
90 minutes. You'll probably pass out.
2 hours.
It's 90 minutes.
I'll do it for 2 hours.
Well, the session only lasts 90 minutes.
I'll stay in there for 2 hours.
I don't know why.
Because I said if Citadel beats Alabama, I'll do. What's it called?
Trust me, I don't think you'll last more than 40 minutes, and I'm being
What's it
honest.
called?
Bikram.
Bikram. I'll do Bikram if
Bikram yoga.
If Citadel beats Alabama, I will do Bikram.
You know what? Somebody who might be doing Bikram this week is Jordy Nelson, because he might be retiring.
Why would he? Why would his retirement be in doing that?
I'll tell you right now, for people who have never done yoga before, especially hot yoga, it is worth it. It is worth it. It is so good for you. You will sleep incredibly well after you do it. Trust me on this, Jeff. Trust me. Do yoga.
There is one in my hometown.
Yes. Go to one session. You'll struggle the first time, but then you'll go again. You'll get better. And it's a heck of a workout.
So how hot is it in there?
It's about 100 degrees, more or less. It's I think 97, and the humidity is really high. So it's really, really humid.
So it's 120.
Right. So, but it's yoga, so you're doing constant movement, but it's not extremely strenuous.
Oh, it's actually
very good for you.
It's right. Ironically, it's next to a
donut shop.
No, it's next to a 7-Eleven.
Well, okay. Well, you can go get a vitamin water.
I read a different place called Tequila Davis. I thought that it said Tequila Davis, so I was like, oh, they're next to a tequila place. That's ironic.
I'm telling you, man, it's so therapeutic. You guys should try it out if you've never done it before.
Can I just do it in my house? Can I just put my AC to 300?
You wouldn't want to.
Why?
Your carpets will soak in all your sweat. Like, you will sweat
Cool.
everywhere. You literally will sweat everywhere. So,
what?
anyways, back to football. Jordy Nelson. It sounds like he might be retiring. That's where we talked about him.
He said, and I quote, I need to get the F out of here.
We don't know if that was him, though, right? Like, we don't know.
It's still unknown, but it apparently is being
reported as such.
Yes.
I get it. So, Le'Veon Bell, the new rumor is that he will not report tomorrow and sit out the entire season. Do you buy it or do you sell it that he's sitting the whole season?
I'm buying it.
You're buying it.
I'm buying it.
You're buying it.
I'm buying it.
Tell me why.
Because he would have showed up by now.
Well, I mean, he still has a day.
It's put up. He's not showing up tomorrow. No way.
For sure?
I'm 100% positive.
Wow.
I am 100% on my confidence that he will not show up.
Are you 100? You're going to say 100% even though it's not your decision to make?
I think it's almost said and done. Because he would have showed up already. He would have showed up last week. He was like, see, and he's still in Pittsburgh. I think he's just
now's the
taunting
deadline, though. Like, now's the actual deadline.
He will sit out the rest of the season.
He might.
I am more than confident that he will.
I would still be very surprised.
All right, if he comes back tomorrow, I will do Bikram.
If he comes back, you'll do Bikram?
Sure, why not?
If he comes back before tomorrow, so he can come back today or tomorrow, and before the deadline, is what you're saying.
Before the deadline, I will not do Bikram. I will.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just do Bikram. Screw it.
I still think he'll come back, but we'll see. I think this might just be a threat, like something they put out in the media. They just floated out. See if he can get a last-ditch effort to get a contract.
I still think that it's gone too far for him to pull back now.
I have a question for you. Brandon Marshall has signed with the Saints. Do you think that's a good move or a bad move for the Saints?
I wouldn't call it a bad move. I mean, it's not going to.
Is it a good move or just a move?
I think it's just a move.
Yeah.
I don't think it's not going to detriment them in any way. They're still the best team in football.
Can only be positive,
This only benefits Brandon Marshall to make it in the postseason for the first time in his 13-year career.
Yeah, it's an incredible opportunity because they signed Dez. Dez tears his Achilles. And, well, Brandon Marshall's available. So if you're Brandon Marshall, that's definitely a change in how the season's going for you.
He started with the Seahawks and then got released, and now
does it make you wonder, though, Jeff, that he couldn't find a place in the starting roster of the Seahawks? And I get it. Doug Baldwin's a good player, and Tyler Lockett is a decent speed receiver. But, guys like David Moore are making plays for the Seattle. They're carving out roles. Does it make you wonder if Marshall's just done?
I think he was just in the wrong offense, in the wrong situation. So we'll see how he plays in this situation. But
he's definitely going to an offense that can utilize him. That's for sure.
Yeah, I can see that he's at the end of his career though. He's very soon going to retire though. It's almost said and done.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So I think we're done for today, unless you have anything else you want to say.
Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We also have the Fantasy Football Podcast coming up today, so tune in for that. Also, we are doing we're doing football and basketball tomorrow, as well as sports every single day, so stay tuned for that. But thank you so much for joining us. We'll be recapping Monday Night Football that happened tomorrow, so stay tuned with us then, and we will see you tomorrow.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.